Good evening, early evening from Swansea wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight news, and reviews on a daily basis. Of course, today we're going at an earlier start time because SmackDown is going to be live in 1 hour from now for the rest of the world apart from America, because I don't know why. I guess the USA Network weren't able to work it out. But so we wouldn't clash with it, we've decided to do it 2 hours earlier on Fridays for the next 3 weeks, and also 2 hours earlier on Monday for the next 3 weeks. But Raw will be live in America at that time for viewers in the United States, which is the good news. I make beats saying it's early today, only 6 p.m. Absolutely. But we've got a great panel. Nevertheless, it is going to be extremely fun. First things first, we have Megan Ambers. How are you today, Megan?
Hi, I'm doing good. Excited to be here this early, even though it's a 1 hour difference. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about the topics that we have. It's going to be a good show.
Absolutely. And that's the thing which makes this even more confusing, right? Because this for the UK is a 2 hours difference to the normal time. But because the clocks have changed in America last weekend, in America it's only 1 hour difference. So it's even more confusing. I can't get my head all around it. But also joining us today, we have David. How are you, David?
Hello, everybody. Very excited to be here today to talk various things. I feel like I've not been on the daily in forever. The last time I was meant to be on the daily, my laptop decided to get fried 10 minutes before we went live. So this time I have a laptop that is undiluted by any liquid. I have a microphone undiluted by any liquid. So far, all is good. Let's pray for a positive show. No, I'm very, very excited to be here. Let's get straight into it.
Absolutely. And I agree with Josh in the comments. Clocks are confusing. Meanwhile, SP Hair _ on Instagram says Cena will win this time. Well, we're going to get into all of that and more. Let's kick things off by talking about Drew McIntyre's interview with Adam's Apple yesterday. And this was a very brief interview, and I don't mean any disrespect at all to the interviewer, but he cut him off at the best part, to the point where I don't know if maybe they were both in on it or something like that. But basically, McIntyre started talking about how he has big things planned with The Rock, and they had a private, personal discussion at Elimination Chamber a couple of weeks ago, and that big things are coming. The interviewer then cut him off, like I said, and I don't know if that was deliberate or not, and they started talking about other things. But the way McIntyre delivered it, the way he was saying it, made me think something is in the works. And I did it in my video I did about the final faction, as I like to call it, the Rock's faction. I'd love to see Drew McIntyre in there with John Cena. But Megan, I'll pass this one to you first. Do you think it'll happen?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I have to admit, I kind of missed that interview. So I didn't get a chance, this is all new to me on live air, but anything is possible. I know a lot of people assume that there is a third person that The Rock kind of insinuate or kind of hinted that will be joining him and John Cena. So would I be surprised if it's Drew McIntyre? Absolutely not. In fact, I'll be kind of interested to seeing it.
I absolutely do agree with you. I think Drew deserves something to really put him into that, main event stratosphere. And of course, he already is there, but to push him to even the next level, the mainstream star territory, I would love to see it. And so would Mike in the comments, who's saying, I think KO. So he's saying, I think KO and Drew should join. Would you like to see that?
Yeah, give Kevin something to do. But first, let Randy handle him first, and then whatever is left of Kevin, then you could toss him to The Rock and John Cena.
That would be quite fun, to be fair, if we just had a faction of the biggest haters, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens, complaining every show. That would be hilarious. Wrestle Castle says, OMG, they cannot believe it. I mean, it undoubtedly would be fun. We have Sean Ellis in the comments as well. Shout out to you. And it is true. KO and Drew have the same enemies. They both
Yes.
hate the bloodline. I mean, I don't know if Drew's had an issue with Randy Orton. I'm sure he has, hasn't he?
They feuded all through 2020 and 2021.
That's
He
it.
took, he took the world title off him the last time.
Oh, of
So
course.
Yep, for a month,
wow.
and then lost it a month, and then Drew won it back. But we don't talk about that.
That entire thing was a fever dream with those screens in there and everything. Sean Ellis says whoever is the third member is got to be somebody on a losing streak. I mean, there we are. Drew McIntyre is on a losing streak too, so it wouldn't make sense. Well, somewhat of a losing streak. Here's something I want to quickly point out, though, right? The Rock was originally doing that. Then he was doing that or whatever it is, that, right? I've got to be careful what I'm doing here now because one of these is a swear in the UK. But then if he's gone to that now, then surely he'd go to that next. So then surely, if that's the case, then surely there's 2 more members to join.
Right, but wasn't he doing that when he was with Roman? While everyone was doing this, he was kind of doing this, and everyone kind of, so I don't know if Roman was supposed to be the first one, and Roman, lost the title, so therefore The Rock deemed him useless. I don't know. But The Rock was definitely doing it differently from everyone else, and it was very noticeable.
I'm just going to come in. I'm just going to come in quickly and say what I love about The Rock's sort of thing. So I fully believe a lot of what The Rock has done is entirely either coincidental or mistakes. Like, I don't think this was ever meant to intend Cena. I don't think this was meant. I can't get in the camera. This was meant to intend The Rock. I think he just messed it up this time, and this was just meant to be 3, 2, 1. But the thing about The Rock is there are so many. He's such an odd case, The Rock, where he might be doing it deliberately. If he's not, he's just pivoting very well and knows how to turn his mistakes into interesting things. And because you can't tell the difference. So, and if you know what, I don't say that as a criticism. I say that as a fair play to him because he's got this uncanny ability to do it, and fair play to him.
I mean, the really interesting thing about this too is that my personal opinion on it all is that was meant to be that he was going to turn on Roman Reigns. They abandoned that. So I think that's what that was meant to represent. Then they abandoned it. Then he did that 3-2-1 thing, I think originally as a thing of, you're cut off, which is what that symbol means or something like that. I don't know. There's that symbol which he did does mean you're cut off from the family and something or other. So what I think's happened to you is I think every time he's just trying to do a different hand symbol and the story keeps getting a 180. But I don't know. It has to be something. A few comments here before I pass it to you, David. Anthony Manzano is saying, for some reason, I don't believe anything Randy said in that promo. I'm a big fan. Oh, okay, right, okay, I get that. One sentence. I'm a big fan of him, but I think he's going to join John and The Rock. Oh, Randy turning heel and joining John and Rock. That would be absolutely nuts as well. But David, what's your thoughts on all of this? Could we see Drew McIntyre in the final faction?
Well, I think this is interesting. So The Rock and Drew McIntyre actually have quite a public sort of connection where The Rock has been very positive about Drew for a long time and a lot of sort of very positive takes publicly in interviews and the rest of it. So that is a good link, I think, between the two. I don't think that this is going to build to anything coming up to Mania. If The Rock has any involvement at all in Drew's story, I don't think it will be now. I don't think that's the focus. And I also feel a little bit like if the focus is still, as it seems to be from TV, Drew and Priest, then I don't think those stories gel nicely enough. So I could see Drew feuding with Cody post-Mania if Cody still has the championship. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Cena. But I would like to see Cody and Drew finally get their proper program because I've been touting for years about this story that they've got, former tag champs and all the rest of it. And they've had some great segments together. So I don't think this is going to lead to anything in the short term. I think this is Drew doing what he normally does, which is playing up to the kind of playing up to this idea of him being a hater, and he does tease a lot of different directions. Personally, despite how much I despise the man dearly, and with every fiber of my soul, I think the best fit for the Rock Cena faction is Logan Paul. And they teased it because he teased it on Monday and said his soul was open. And if the faction is The Rock, John Cena, and Travis Scott at the moment. I think Logan is actually the closest to them in terms of sort of weaponizing his heat. I don't really want it because I don't like Logan. I don't want to see Logan on television. But whereas Drew, I think, has a lot of pies in things external. I think he's got things with Punk and Seth and Roman, which is not in Cody's story at the moment. I think, and Logan is neither, but at least Logan can just get the heat off the celebrity factor. So yeah, I don't see it being Drew yet, but potentially in the future, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'd like to see that or not, to be honest with you. I don't know. What do you think, Megan?
Oh, you know, I think people know how I feel about Logan. I don't want him nowhere near this. I don't want him nowhere near this story. He has something going on with AJ Styles. I'm not crazy about that either. But because we know that AJ Styles will be retiring soon, now that we know that this is a real thing, I want to enjoy all of his final matches, his final feuds, and if that includes Logan, then that just includes Logan too. But yeah, keep Logan far away from this. Far away from it.
The thing is, part of me is like, I don't want to see it. And that's 90% of me. But 10% of me, to David's point, is like, there's a slight risk here that fans are so happy that Cena's now a heel that they root for Cena. But if you put somebody like a Logan Paul or, Dominic Mysterio is busy, but somebody like that next to Cena, he's inevitably going to get booed. But the issue is that would require Logan Paul getting more of a spotlight, and I don't want that. I really don't want it.
Just to be clear, I don't either. Can't stand the man on television. I'm just talking about from a logical perspective. Out of the people on the roster, who makes the most sense to align with the celebrity, the mainstream against Cody? Well, Logan's kind of the most mainstream guy you've got now, that isn't already in the faction. So as much as I would rather anything else, I could definitely see it.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense. I will say that. Wrestle Castle says, just kick Logan Paul out. Fair enough. I don't disagree with that at all. Fernando says, please don't let it be Logan. Agreed. Mike says, Logan Paul, I do not believe is going in it. It is too obvious. Sean suggests maybe Naomi joining it. I wouldn't be against that one. Or Jade Cargill, I previously suggested as well. Either one of those I'd quite like. But we do have a couple more comments here as well. Fernando saying Drew would be the perfect fit for the faction. Yeah, I do agree. There's tons of names, and I think that is the beauty of this storyline, and the fact that, we can speculate about it for ages and ages, and I'm sure we will continue to speculate about it for ages and ages. But do you know what we haven't done for ages and ages? A rant from me. I'm about to go on a rant, guys. I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all. In fact, I feel insulted by WWE. Quite frankly, I'm starting to feel a little sick, and I might become a sicko over at AEW if this continues, right? Because today I was having a lovely Friday, excited for SmackDown to be starting at a reasonable time for us here in the UK. I got a notification on my phone saying, oh, we're now doing championship belts for European football. I think to myself, oh, this is going to be interesting. Maybe I'll buy myself an Arsenal one. Let's have a look at the cost. And then I find out that Arsenal, in fact, do not have one of these belts. They said the 13 major European clubs, and it's not just Arsenal who were snubbed, right? Because the fact is, Arsenal right now are the second best team in the English Premier League. The first best is Liverpool. They were also snubbed. Barcelona, also snubbed. Real Madrid, also snubbed. Bayern Munich, also snubbed. Meanwhile, Man City got a championship, right? And Man City fans actually don't exist, right? They're a complete myth. It's like one of those things, you tell children or whatever. They don't exist. Man City fans are non-existent. But then to make matters worse, West Ham, who are currently 15th in the league, 16th in the league, have one. And to make matters even worse, Man United, who are 15th in the league, get one. And then Tottenham, and I hate to even say that word, it's like a swear word to me, are 14th in the league and they get one. I mean, this is absolutely sickening. Drew McIntyre went onto Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and said this is the only championship which Tottenham are going to be winning anytime soon. And I agree, right? Any fan from Tottenham who buys one of these belts is quite frankly a fraud. You shouldn't be anywhere near silverware. You might actually have an allergy to silver. WWE, this is a complete and utter disgrace from you. Absolute snubbed. And guess what? The thing which frustrates me more than any of this about this is Arsenal enter the WWE theme songs every single week, right? Our DJ might need to start playing Orange Cassidy's theme at this point because Arsenal, well and truly snubbed. I am absolutely fuming. David, what's your thoughts?
I mean, as a Liverpool fan, I'm properly incensed by this. I mean, we're top of the league. You know, we are right in there. I don't get it. And I've got to say that I read your message and your comparisons. You know, it was Arsenal, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Liverpool. I've got to say, I'm so incensed. And I'm also incensed on your behalf as well, Ben. So I went and I did a little bit of research just to back your points up. And I just wanted to have a little look at Arsenal's trophy haul recently. And, you know, it's good. We've got a couple of FA Cups in there, a few sort of community shields, which is kind of the lowest, kind of the sort of ceremonial trophies. But your last league title was 20 years ago now, 2004, so 21 years ago. So, you know, but that's entirely fair. You've done some good stuff since then. So I just thought I'd go and have a look at the other clubs that you mentioned that were snubbed and have a look at their hauls since Arsenal last won the league. And obviously your last European title, which was on the 12th of Never. Let's have a look here. So we've got Real Madrid with their 6 Champions Leagues, 5 UEFA Super Cups, 5 Club World Cups and 7 league titles. You got Barcelona with their 4 Champions Leagues, 3 Club World Cups, 3 UEFA Super Cups, and 11 league titles. Bayern, 2 Champions Leagues, 2 Club World Cups, 2 Super Cups, and 15 league titles. And us, to a lesser extent, with 2 Champions Leagues, 2 Super Cups, a Club World Cup, and a league title. So between the 4, that's 14 Champions Leagues, 11 Club World Cups, 12 Super Cups, and 34 league titles. And Arsenal have no Champions Leagues, no Club World Cups, no Super Cups, and no league titles. So my question is actually, where's Leicester City? Real that.
How many Emirates Cups do you have? How about that? And let's start counting those now, shall we?
I've got plenty of toilet paper, Ben. I don't need them, thank you.
No, in all seriousness, don't you worry, David, right? I understand, you know, Liverpool this season, you know, I understand you're not keeping up with the Champions League anymore after, you know, you lost to PSG. In fact, a team which was significantly weakened to when we beat them earlier in the season. But don't worry, you know, Arsenal, we're facing Real Madrid. We'll knock them out. We'll then go and knock out PSG for you, right? But don't worry, we'll get avenge you or whatever you want to call it. And then we'll go and we'll win the Champions League this year. And then we don't need any of your championship belts, WWE. We'll have the Champions League instead.
Right,
standing with me.
You couldn't even win the fake. You couldn't even get a fake one, but never mind a real one. So you know that's.
The comments were at me as well on Instagram about this, but we're going to win one. I believe in Super Mick Arteta. It's going to happen. 5-star rant. And Saul says every Scottish club is better than Arsenal. Well, I bet Saul's delighted. Rangers do have one.
To your point, though, like just on a serious note, this is very obviously, you know, these are club brandings. I don't think they've intentionally gone out to find the 13 best clubs in the world. I don't think that's meant to be that. I think it's just whichever people they could get their branding deals with. So United were always going to get one because United are probably the biggest, even though they're 16th in the league and rubbish, they are still one of the biggest brands in football. Still the biggest brands in the sport. Same with City.
Only very closely followed by Arsenal. Arsenal and Man United by a long shot.
And to be fair, for all I rant, like, Arsenal should have one. So should Liverpool. So should... I'm surprised they didn't try to get one for every place they were going, although they are going to Ireland at one point. So I don't think a brand deal with Shamrock Rovers was probably going to be in the cards. But, you know, like, you know, they're going to Barcelona. They're going literally their first stop on the tour is Barcelona. Like one of the most passionate football locations in the world. It's very confusing.
Also, another point, are they aware that when they go to Scotland, if they are selling both of these, there could well be like, you know, a riot or something.
Oh, please do. Oh, please, please, please sell them both. Sell them both. Put them nice front center, and make it so you can't just buy one. You have to buy
Oh
them both.
no!
Like
you have to be a double champion.
It's like the double scarves. You can't have one side without the other.
Oh gosh, that would be horrific. No doubt about that. But now, guys, I want to talk to you guys about something a little bit more positive. I want to talk to you guys about a brand which would never snub such a beautiful football club like Arsenal, and that is Etsy. Now, if you guys haven't downloaded the Etsy app yet, what are you doing? Because you can download it on the App Store or the Google Play Store and head to the upcoming stream section to see our upcoming streams. Now, what the app is, basically, it's like this, right? So we can do a stream on it. But the difference is you guys can put your hands up and we can put you into the call and you guys can join too. It's not streamed anywhere else. You can't watch it back on demand. It is only live. So you guys can basically come in a call with us, ask us questions, shout at Clark for his takes about Cody Rhodes, whatever you want to do. It's a lot of fun. We usually do a stream every Sunday. This week, we're still not entirely sure what time it'll be, but Clark will update you tomorrow. As we all know, clocks are just giving everybody a headache right now because pretty much everywhere in the world's changing on a different weekend. I've never known clocks changing to be so confusing like this, where it's like every country is changing a different weekend. It's so bizarre. But download the Etsy app and you can head to the upcoming stream section to see when the upcoming streams are. It is honestly such a great app, and there were great people behind it. But now let's move on, because we had a new announcement this morning, and it's a really interesting announcement as well, because the guests have been announced for Stephanie's Places, her new show. And Megan, I believe you have the details for this one.
Yes. So we, excuse me, we have 10 episodes, which will be coming out weekly, of Stephanie's Places, with the first episode starting with CM Punk, which I'm really interested in that because everybody knows how CM Punk left WWE. He pretty much left kind of flipping everybody off. So to see CM Punk and Stephanie and Triple H kind of letting bygones be bygones, I think that would be a really interesting episode to start off with. Episode 2 out April 2nd will be Cody Rhodes. The following week it will be Rhea Ripley. Stone Cold episode will be episode 4. Episode 5 will be Charlotte Flair. 6, Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. That's what we saw in the trailer with everyone on the yacht. Episode 7 on May 7th will be Pat McAfee. May 14th will be The Undertaker. Episode 9 will be Stephanie and her husband. I guess they will be talking about the up and coming, well, this will be after WrestleMania. So we'll see what that episode is all about. And the final episode will be with John Cena, titled John Cena's Final Round. I'm interested in watching the podcast. I grew up being a huge fan of Stephanie McMahon. And now seeing her more on this side of the camera and just exploring the wrestlers, their careers, their come-ups, their, just their whole position in WWE. It's going to be really interesting because she's usually on the other side of the camera. But overall, yeah, I'm just really interested in just seeing how this whole process plays out. And then I also thought there's a separate podcast that she's doing. Maybe I imagine that. I don't know, but I think there is an actual podcast that she will be doing outside of this 10 episode special. So yeah, go Stephanie.
Absolutely.
Waiting to see it.
It's an exciting time for Stephanie McMahon, no doubt about it. But the one thing which, Geordie in the Bank messaged me about this as soon as it was announced, and he said, I don't know how I feel about a heel John Cena doing this podcast. I mean, it's probably safe to presume he's going to break kayfabe to do it? I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Megan?
John Cena's a good actor. So we don't
That's
know.
true.
I mean, well, these are all pre-recorded, I would assume. So we're still going to see good John, the Make-A-Wish John, the Love the Children, and Never Give Up John. I don't think we're going to see F the Children, beat up Cody. I don't think we're going to see that John. So the timing fits. Now, maybe it'll take our minds off of whatever is going to transpire at WrestleMania. You know, maybe it will, you know, have us see him differently. I don't know. But we still got to see what goes down at WrestleMania. But if anything, John is an actor, so he's going to, you give him a script and he's going to portray as whatever the script tells him to portray.
Yeah, I'm curious
I
to
hope
see.
so.
I'm curious to see how John maintains the heel character, because obviously in the post-show presser, he stayed in kayfabe and he did the mic drop, and then The Rock came out and poo-pooed all over that by going, "By the way, guys, this is all fake. It's all fake. It's not real, guys. See, la 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 la." So hopefully we don't get that. I'd actually like to see Cena as much as he can stay in the character.
Agreed.
For as long as he can. I get that he is one of the world's biggest actors, and he's also somebody that does have enough Make-A-Wishes to, you know, he might need to he might run into some murky waters with that. I think John will balance it better than Dwayne has, because Dwayne just, to me, I think The Rock is actually embarrassed to be playing this character. I don't think he ever wanted to be playing this character. He seems
I disagree on that. No.
Well,
Yeah.
in what interview have you ever seen him come out and actually act as The Rock? Or
Yeah,
has he
but
come
I
out-
think that's
or has he
because
come-
he's got to control the stock market with the company too.
But then don't be there. Don't show up. If you can't commit to it, don't do it. He's coming on, and he's every single interview he's going, yeah, it's really great to play this character, and it's all good. We all get to go backstage and have a good laugh afterwards, and you know, it's like he's so obsessed with still being a face. He still wants people to like him so much that he can't go. He can never push through that, and I understand that from public perception. Sorry, Megan. It does massively take away from the story to me, which is why I've stopped watching the interviews out of character.
Honestly, I think The Rock been so used to being Dwayne Johnson for so long. Most of his interviews that he has done in the last, let's say, 5-10 years has been about the roles in the different movies that he play. Even when he cuts promos, you could kind of see that he kind of loses his step a little bit. I think it just falls under The Rock just being rusty. He's just rusty. That's all. He just has to spend more time in the ring, because he has been Dwayne The Rock Johnson for so long. He forgot what it was like to just be The Rock. But outside of that, I'm not crazy about him kind of, you know, exposing everything either. I just think it's honestly just a slip of the tongue.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll also say Cena is also more used to throwing himself into a completely wide range of roles. I mean, Cena is happy being Peacemaker. He's also happy with selling those roles in character. Look at Ricky Stenicki and all the stupid things he did for that. You know, he is willing to go with the bit because people know that that's not who Cena actually is. We know Cena's not actually an evil murderer. We know he's not a monster. You know, he's been more willing to sort of make those risks. Whereas The Rock, in every single thing he's done for the last 15 years, is The Rock. He plays The Rock on screen. He plays The Rock off screen. Even on television, he plays The Rock. So, that is his brand. So I understand it, and I do agree. Some of it, I think, is rust in the ring. Absolutely, the slips of the tongue. I think there are elements of rust there. But I also think that Cena is slightly more willing to just say, they know it's not. They know this isn't real, and try and push, have a little bit more fun with it. But I could be wrong. Cena could come out next week and bury the whole thing, and we have to wait and see. But I think Cena's having too much fun right now. I think he wants to play into it.
Yeah, I will say this: I don't I think the bigger issue, I don't think the issue is The Rock talking you in interviews and stuff in character, because I do think he has to do that in the position he's in, right? That's just part of his job. But I think the issue is the inconsistency with people staying in character and then not being in character in these
Yes.
press conferences. I think that is the
Exactly.
big thing.
Yeah.
And it's a wrestling-wide issue. I mean, New Japan had it to an extent. I remember years ago when they were the only company doing this. But even still, they were handling it better. And then AEW did it, and now WWE doing it, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. It's like, I like the idea of them, but you're either in gimmick or you're out of gimmick. One or the other. As simple as that. Now let's move on to the weekend preview, because it is a busy one. Let's kick things off with tonight's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, which actually starts in 27 minutes, unless you're in the United States and you've got to watch it later on tonight. I will keep bringing that up because it's the only time ever we have the advantage when it comes to SmackDown. The rest of the times we've got to watch it at 1 a.m. For once we get it at a reasonable time. But what we do have announced for this episode is Cody Rhodes on Miz TV, DIY versus the Street Profits for the WWE Tag Team Championships, Randy Orton returning to the ring in a singles capacity to take on Carmelo Hayes, and Charlotte Flair returning to the ring in singles capacity to take on B-Fab. An exciting card, of course, live from Barcelona, Spain. That crowd could be wild. Over on the All Elite Wrestling side of things, this weekend at Collision, we have FTR versus the Undisputed Kingdom. In the Dynasty International Championship Eliminator Tournament, we have Shibata versus Ricochet. Yes, please to that. And also in the tournament, we have Mark Davis versus Mark Briscoe. Megan, I'm going to send this one to you first. What are you excited for the most this weekend?
Seeing where the Bianca and Naomi story goes, honestly. I feel like something is going to transpire, but I'm not sure what it will be. Outside of that, I guess I'm excited to see what Cody has to say on Miz TV. I definitely think his promo on Raw was 10 times better than it was on SmackDown last week, which I shared that. I feel like he needed a do-over. Maybe it was just the energy of New York, because we're pretty high energy people for the most part. But definitely felt like he needed that do-over. And so I'm guessing he's going to finish that segment on Miz TV. Outside of that, nothing in particular. I'll just be watching it, but there's nothing truly exciting about either show, honestly.
Yeah, you're not lying on that one. I mean, I just read out the announcement, and I'm not going to lie. I actually got a little bit less excited. But
yeah, I think I'm more excited just taking my son to his first wrestling show on tomorrow. We're going to House of Glory. Yeah.
Nice.
He wants to see Mercedes. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Who's she facing there?
We don't even know. We just know she's going to be there. But it'll be nice to see her. Indy Hartwell will be there. Private Party will be there, and Zilla Fatu. So,
Zilla Fatu Dijak main event.
Oh, there you go. My old friend Donovan Dijak. Yes. If anybody remembers how we met, that was pretty interesting. But just really more interested in that, honestly.
I actually don't know that story.
But I have to share it afterwards. But
okay, fair enough. But anyway, David, what about you? What are you excited for on this weekend of professional wrestling?
Well, I mean, there are very few things that can make me less excited than the words Miz TV. So, and especially not when I think it's going to be Cody doing the same promo for the third time, just spinning every wheel he can, bless him, until John gets back. He's trying his best, and the promos have been pretty good. But they are just kind of, you can tell we're waiting now for Cena to come back. So I'm going to kind of move past WWE and AEW. They're solid cards. I'm excited for the international qualifiers and all of those. But I'm going to move over to what else is happening in the wrestling world this week. So I'm going to start with TNA Sacrifice, which I think is a bit of an odd card. You've got things like Moose versus Jeff Hardy in a ladder match for the X Division title. That could go either way. You've got Tessa Blanchard against Lei Ying Lee, the former Xia Li. You've got Masha Slamovich and Cora Jade, which would be really good. And a very interesting 10-man cage tag match, which is Elijah, Joe Hendry, Leon Slater, Matt Hardy, and Nick Nemeth against the Colones and the System. I think a 5-star classic this may not be, but I'm always interested to see what Leon Slater can do in a cage, and they might surprise me there. So that's Sacrifice. The numbers don't lie, and they do hopefully not spell disaster. We'll move on to the New Japan Cup, which has been going on over the weekend, over the last week or so. Obviously, their first show delayed by a broken ring post. We are in the quarterfinals now, and the quarterfinals are David Finlay and Yugi Uemura, who is my pick to win the whole thing. You've got Taichi against Zack Sabre Jr., Jeff Cobb, who is facing Shota Umino, and Shingo Takagi against Driller Maloney. Driller's had a really good tournament. Taichi's had an interesting tournament. He knocked Gabe Kidd out in the last round, thanks to House of Torture. Ooh, yeah, it was a rubbish finish. But I think it could be Yuya or might be Sabre. You also have an interesting match here. You also have Hiroki Goto against Yuji Nagata for the world title, which is an interesting class of the aged. Goto seems to be going through the legends at the moment, which is actually a really interesting story. He had a good match with Tanahashi. And Goto's been doing some great stuff at the moment. We also have the return of Maple Leaf Pro with their 2-night show, Mayhem, a massive step down sort of in excitement from their first card, but you still get some interesting stuff. Him led by Tom Latimer, the NWA World Champion, and the MLP World Champion, against Bishop Dyer, the former Baron Corbin. So that should be an interesting little show there. GCW have their sort of regular shows, including a match between Dr. Redacted and Hoodfoot, which will have loads of blood, just oh so much blood. And loads of other stuff here. Rev Pro have a big show this weekend with the winner of the 24-carat XWXW 24-carat tournament, one called Manders, in the main event. So loads of good stuff there. Like I said, 2 GCW shows, plus Collision, plus WWE, plus I'm sure a bunch of Japanese shows that aren't listed on Cage Match, so I can't find them. This is going to be a really, really good weekend of wrestling. I'm really, really excited.
Absolutely. I'm pumped, and I'm rooting for Uemura too over in the New Japan Cup. I mean, his injury sucked in the G1 because he was putting on banger after banger. Yeah.
And he's come back well. He had a really good match with Sanada in his first round. I can't recall who he beat in the second round, but that was another good one. He's having a good run. I'm not actually sure it will be his time, but it's who I'm rooting for. I am baffled they got rid of Gabe Kidd so early. But
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Wow.
Gabe Kidd was eliminated by Taichi in the last round. He was attacked, had a 20-minute match, and then was attacked by House of Torture. And
of course. Sorry, I did know this. I didn't realize it was a New Japan Cup match.
So I would
casual there.
I tell you what. I would push before we finish. I think if it's not going to be Uemura, and I don't want it to be Sabre because Sabre's too easy, go with Driller Maloney. Because he's had a massive uptake over the last few months. Had a really good match with Ishii that he won. So knocked Ishii out of the tournament. If he can knock out Takagi as well in the quarterfinal, you could just go Takagi because it's easy and Takagi's great. But if you want to push somebody new who's sort of been on that precipice for a while and looking at the other options, you've got Shota I don't see yet, Cobb I don't see. So I think it's going to be Uemura or Driller Maloney. And if they don't want to go with Uemura, which I'm not sure they do, maybe go with Driller. And I could be proven completely wrong by tomorrow because he could be dumped out. But I'm going with Driller.
New Japan does kind of feel like it's in a little bit of an experimental stage at this moment, but also that makes it very, very fun as well because NXT have kind of been in an experimental phase for the past 18 months and it's been some of the best television, right? So that is not a negative thing at all. But we do have a couple of comments here. I Make Beats is excited for wrestling at a normal hour here in the UK. Absolutely. Fernando is looking forward to Collision. Sean Ellis is not happy about this John Cena heel turn, saying it's a bad angle to finish off his career. I'm going to be honest, I disagree there. I think it's just so unexpected, and that's what I like about it. But a couple of announcements to wrap up the show, right? First things first. The latest episode of Sold Separately is out now on the Wrestling Republic YouTube channel, where Anthony and Clark look at some of the latest Bloodline figures released from the new Elite, I think it's 118 series. So make sure you guys check that out. It is a fascinating episode. And of course, Clark goes on a Cody Rhodes rant during it. Of course he does. But then tonight, hopefully exactly 1 minute after SmackDown finishes in the United States, an episode of Allison Analysis will be out reviewing that show. Because we get it earlier in the UK this week, I'm going to try and take advantage of that so it's ready for everybody by the time it's done in America. Plus, the Daily tomorrow will be back at the normal time, 8 p.m. UK, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. There we go. Hopefully, those are all the announcements now. It's all very confusing at the minute, but thank you to David, thank you to Megan for joining me here today, and thank you to everybody commenting throughout the show as well. We will see you guys same time, same place tomorrow. Peace.